What is up, guys? How are you guys doing? All right, today's a little bit different. It's not gonna be so much of a vlog, but more of just like a tutorial on how I do my vlogs. So that's cool, right? Okay, so, oh, also, it's my first day of Ramadan, so freaking fasting right now. It's doing good. It's still the morning, so I haven't really gone through any of the craziness yet. I'm still nice and full from this morning. And also nice and caffeinated. All right, so let's get cracking. All right, so we're gonna be using Adobe. Now, the concepts in this video are not gonna be editing software specific, so don't worry if you don't have it. First, we're gonna start with organization. So how do I organize my footage so that I can seamlessly import it into Adobe and edit it in my timeline? So this is kind of how I organize it. I organize it by camera. My primary vlog camera for all the dialogue is going to be on top, then my cinematic on bottom, and then my auxiliary drone for aerials. And then these ones are just kind of like, I don't use these ones a whole lot, but sometimes I have footage like that. So I create files for them, and they usually are just like 1% of my vlog total footage. Okay, cool. So being well organized is really important, and this is kind of how I'm able to do it. And you'll see how important it is once we open up a timeline. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna hit open project, figure out where my files are. This is gonna be interesting. I've had actually a lot of problems with Adobe's update 2018. There's been a lot of bugs. I haven't done the update that they just released because I'm still a little bit skeptical, so I'm waiting. Make sure everything was fixed right, and then I'll probably update in between projects. All right, cool. So you can kind of look at my workspace. This is the kind of way I like it. I don't know, everybody has their own, but I use CS 5.5 workspace. And then of course I've kind of reconfigured it a little bit and then saved it as a preset, or saved my preferences. Okay, cool. So Sahara Desert, right. So we're gonna start with a blank timeline. There's two different ways to start a sequence. I like to start sequences from clip, because if I'm using a 1080 by, or 1920 by 1080 clip, I don't actually have to type that in. I know that's my settings on my G7X, and I just created a new sequence with those settings. I'm just gonna type in really quickly the Sahara tutorial, just so we know which timeline is the one that we're working on. So what I'm doing here is I'm gonna actually just highlight all of my clips. Now the G7X I primarily use as vlogging, and the wonderful thing about vlogging is that it's all chronological. So you could literally just throw all the clips down on your timeline just to start. And I'll further show you how I cut through those in a second. But first we're gonna work on the introduction. And I'm going back to a past vlog, or actually this one's a future vlog, but let's just pretend it's a past vlog, to pick up the intro. So the intro I do on every single vlog, so literally I just copy and paste on old projects and toss it in. Accidentally, oops. Okay, there we go. I'll just highlight that and get rid of it now. All right. I'll explain keyboard shortcuts here in a second. I just want to get through this, how I build an intro. Okay, so now that I got my little intro there, I'll just kind of expand it so you can see the inner workings. Those are just opacity. So yeah, I just basically put my opacity points and make them flicker and whatnot, and that's my intro. Oh, yeah, saving. Saving's important. Make sure you do your auto save. I do like every 8 minutes. I know people that get crazy. Okay, here's the shortcuts. We got 1 and 2 I've assigned as zoom in, zoom out. The Q and W are my ripple trim. We'll learn more about that. A is going to be for select all. Then I use my snap. Stuff over there. Selection tool and my pen tool I use quite a bit. Slip tool and rate stretch, not so much. I don't use that, but it is good to know what they do. And of course your cut tool is at C, which is insanely useful. Oh, and if you want to change any of those, you just kind of click on that and put in what you want to assign it to. Literally, like it's pretty easy. Now I'm just compiling my intro, and usually for my intro I like to just build like a mini story that kind of gives you an idea of what's going on but doesn't reveal too much. So that, at least that's the concept in my head. So right now I'm kind of scrubbing through footage to kind of build this mini story in the beginning, and hopefully to entice you to watch the whole thing. So here I'm getting out of bed, and then I'll be I kind of like that shot as like a beginning of the day kind of thing. And let's see, and then let's see what I can find. Oh yeah, the door, walking out the door and seeing the Sahara in the back. Yeah, that's cool. I'll put that down there, see how that works out. No. This is like where most of my time goes, is just selecting shots. Which is kind of the reason why I like to just, as far as the vlog, the dialogue it goes, I just dump it and cut it as I go. It saves so much time. Okay, I like this one. Oh yeah, and I just, what I did there was as I decreased from full resolution down to a quarter of the resolution. That way, just things are more smooth in playback. That's a really nice tip. You'll notice that both my source files and my, my program file are set to a quarter. In the final production, when I'm done, I like to boost that to full just to make sure everything looks good and is going good. So, but to check flow, I always do quarter resolution. Okay, so I've established my little mini story. I'm just kind of lining everything up to look good. Then of course there's music. I either do this before or after the mini story. If I do it after, I just basically have to adjust to the beat. So right now I just lowered the gain. A lot of times the audio clips come pretty loud, so I like to lower them -4. And right now I just put constant gain. Constant gain is just basically a fade in, fade out to the music. And it's just a super quick drop down, highlight, get it going kind of thing. And it works really well, surprisingly well, and saves you a ton of time. Okay, so I'm kind of lining to the beat right now, and also lining to how long I want shots to linger for. My last shot, I always linger for longer because I have my drop down text, and I usually like a static shot. That kind of, something's moving within the shot, or just something's happening with the shot, but the camera's not moving. I don't know, I just aesthetically, I just like to end on static shots. And then of course I have my drop down effects on my left. Those are all presets that I've created, and then also that I have downloaded and purchased. So I'm gonna get some background music going on right now. So I'm just gonna pick something, I don't even care what it is. Quick preview, yep, good, okay. Download that, boom. Right. Now, my background music, you really don't have to get too technical. You don't have to edit to the beat. Or anything like that. You literally just have to put it in the background as a motivator to the story, keep it moving, keep it flowing. So I'll go ahead and do the gain -4 like I usually do, just for good practice. I'll head it down to about -16 or -19, depending on what the type of song, how loud the song is, or yeah. And then of course constant fade, boom, link them together. So, yep. And then I'll just lock down my audio. This part of the tutorial is basically how I edit the body of my vlogs. So, oh, and I like to keep everything pretty organized and layered and colored. So my intro is yellow. All my cinematics is yellow, and the body is usually, the vlog, the G7X, is going to be blue. and that's just kind of how I do it. My adjustment layers are pink, audio's green. It's kind of the way I roll. Okay, so now I'm getting into the cutting. Now, the cutting is where you can lose the most time or save the most time. So I save the most time by shortcuts Q and W. Q is going to basically cut to the left, and then W is going to cut to the right. So, and it's going to compress after you cut. So literally, like right now, let's see. Right now I'm cutting to the left, cutting to the left, cutting to the left, cutting to the left. And it's pulling down the whole timeline. So it's really saves me time. It's one step does, one button does like 2 different things. And so that's really where you want to save the buttons you want to use to save time. Okay, so I'm gonna cut right. I mean, as soon as right now I'm just focusing on where the story is and how it's going and where I want to cut right. But eventually I'll find a good point to cut right. Usually it's towards the end of a spiel. Okay, this time it went quite a bit and I just cut right just to nail it. Yeah, and sometimes I just have to slice with the razor, which the razor is C. That's the shortcut for the razor. I just hit that and then I do some cuts on my own if need be, and then I have to manually move it over with A, which is like a select all tool. One of the most important things when you're editing your body of your vlog is basically matching the audio. The audio is kind of the most important. Like, not so much the video. The video can be forgiven, I believe. Like if the video looks a little jittery from one clip to the next, that can be forgiven as long as the audio is sound. And what I mean by sound is that when you speak, from one clip to the next, the speech sounds perfect. Like it sounds like natural. Like even if I cut from one thing to another, I'll often remember not to just cut from one word and then have the next word come right after. Maybe I'll do a natural pause so that the next word is spaced. It all depends on what you're talking about, right? And how it would naturally come out if you were really talking to somebody. Think about how natural the audio would sound in real life and make sure you apply that to your edits. And like I said, video is not as important. It's important. I mean, if you can seamlessly get the video and the words, beautiful, awesome. That is pro stuff right there. But what I've seen through all the edits and watching others is that the video doesn't matter as much as the audio. All right, cool. So now we're gonna enter into the cinematic portion of my vlogs, the montages. Now, as you'll notice, it's yellow because I like to keep things separated. Also, it really helps like when I color grade, I know that the cinematics are the ones that I'm color grading, so I know exactly where to go to at the end. I'm not like lost and wasting time looking for the bit that I did my cinematics on, so that's really important. That is like the biggest thing. Just how can you save time? Because 10-minute vlogs take a long time if you don't know how to save time. Like insane days. Luckily, if you use shortcuts, I mean, it can be anywhere from 4 to 8 hours edits, depending on how involved the vlog is. And this is for like 10 to 12 minute vlogs. Now we are in our resolution, or our kind of climax. After our climax of the story, which is supposedly the cinematics, things are gonna resolve in the last bit, right? The typical storytelling line. So I'm just gonna edit it exactly the same. I'm not putting any music in this one because, I don't know, sometimes I like to start off with a good motivating beat. Towards the end of my edit, sometimes I take away the music during the resolution. But that's just kind of like an artistic decision. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so what I just did was from my old vlog, basically every vlog series, I create an ending and a logo and all that stuff. So my ending is already made. From the first vlog I do in that series, I already make a different ending. So I just went to a past vlog and grabbed this this ending, and I just basically copy and paste and attach it to the end. Like I said, saving time. I've create one template, and what I'll do is I'll just change the clips that are in the template, but all this purple stuff I'll leave the same, which the purple stuff is graphics, glitches or flashes or colorful flashes or overlays, stuff like that, filters. I'm trying to make it seem, what I'm trying to do artistically is make it seem like a movie film, and at the end it kind of like gets cut, you know, like it's not original. It's not original, but I liked it. It was an idea and I just went with it. Okay, cool. So now this is kind of what a vlog should look like in the end. A very basic vlog. I know people out there that are doing crazy stuff and do all these layers and tricks, but I like the simplicity of film and of creation, and I think you don't need to get too crazy. And also to be able to do 2 a week, I really like to keep it like this. This is I'm in a perfect place right now with editing and creation and releasing. So yeah, that's basically what it all looks like. I got my cinematic layers, got my body layers, got my audio, got my adjustment layers, and I have my effects layers. Oh, right, one last thing. I gotta do my color grading. So for my G7X footage, I usually do, I already have a preset color that I've already created that is specific to when I'm talking to the camera and specific to the G7X settings. So essentially I just copy and paste it from an old vlog. I've already created it, and then I just put it over top and put it only in the sections that I'm talking to the camera. And what you're seeing me do is I'm using a lot of the zoom tool, which I've assigned to 1 and 2. One thing I like to do is I like to keep my right hand on the mouse and my left hand on the keyboard, and I don't like to cross the two. So my left hand, in order to do all my shortcuts, it has to be able to do with one hand. So that's why you saw a lot of my shortcuts I created were all on the left side of the keyboard. Also, getting the color done, I like to put a kind of this cool theatrical effect. Essentially, like the curtains are rising and dropping. So I do kind of this crop, this moving crop, and I've already made the adjustment layers, and I've already made the crop preset for it. So this is my crop preset, and I'll show you how to make this crop preset here in one moment. All right, and so here I go. I got edge feather. I like it 7. It's annoying. It always does that. Okay, so I got my keyframes for my cinematic crop start. So I'll do one keyframe. It'll start at 0. The other one will start at 10. You can see it drops down, and then I'll show you actually how to make that preset. So let's say you got this. You just highlight, say save preset, and boom. You can name it Cinematic Crop Start. That's what I name it. So you know that'll always produce that effect. You'll have consistency in all of your videos, and yeah, I do that preset for all those 3. And it takes no time at all, and it saves you loads of time. So definitely recommend that. So now we go into coloring, but before I go into coloring, I always save, because sometimes it crashes, and that's the thing with Adobe. It's just buggy as hell. So I just have to work around it. And then now I'll go over the coloring. Everything worked out really fine. I got my vector scopes on the left. That'll help me out, figure out how to edit and color. So for my first clip, it's super clean. There's no colors or editing done to it yet. I go into my favorites. I've already created a preset for the cinematic bits that I do. So I'm gonna grab it and just drag and drop. All right, drag and drop, cool. Blows out my highlights, right? So that's not good. So I'll go into here, do some adjustments, try to bring back those highlights as much as possible. Bring up the shadows because, I mean, obviously the contrast is great, so I need to increase the blacks. I need you to see what's in the blacks, and then I need to kind of kill those brights. Right now it looks overexposed, but I guess you can make out a little bit, and this is just kind of as good as it's gonna get. So I'll try to mess with it, but I'm not gonna spend too much time on it because this is a tutorial. All right, next clip. Okay, oh God, just blown out. Okay, let's try to fix that. And there we go. There we go. I also like to use this little saturation wheel that, or color wheel. And these wheels work as well, but I just don't have a whole lot of experience using these ones. I usually work with curves and then that color wheel that you saw previously. And then LUTs. And then just basic color correction. Okay, so I'm applying this LUT, or I'm applying the preset that I already have, and it's way too saturated. So I'm gonna bring down those saturations. I'm gonna bring that down. I don't know why it just does 0.1. I saved it with that and it was a bad idea. I'm gonna bring down those highlights. Shadows I don't really need to deal with, even though I just did. There we go. I don't wanna make it too soft with the contrast. Cool. The most important thing is, you know, if I have two clips right next to each other and they're literally the same exposure, they're just the same setting, the same colors, I'll just copy and paste the attributes, which you can do. Command C is copy, and then Command Option or Alt V is going to be paste attributes. So it'll only paste any attributes that you select. Like for instance, this one's color. You can also paste attributes such as opacity and all that stuff, but this one's just color. And last thing I'll do, okay, this is when the project is done. This is what it looks like it's done. I'll actually hit I and O, I and O that'll be my portion that I'm going to export. That kind of just builds the walls on over the export. And yeah, I can either hit Command M, or I could just go into the menu and hit Media, Export Media. H.264, high bit rate, name it, render at maximum depth, and render maximum quality. If I have time, I'll just VBR2 and I'll just go, you know, 2020. Oh yeah, use previews. I don't use previews because all my previews are 720p, so the quality is lower so that the playback is faster. It's a performance thing. It's a whole nother video. We won't go into it. So yeah, 2020 VBR Pass 2. This is if I have like tons of time and I'm like not rushing the project. I could either go Q, that'll open up a Adobe Media Encoder so that I can keep working in Adobe while that's encoding, or I'll just go straight to export. All right guys, thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys learned something from just watching my workflow and having me explain it. And I hope it helps you produce your own vlogs. Amazing, beautiful vlogs. I will be answering every single comment that goes on down there. So take care. We'll see you in the next video. What do you call a dog magician? A labracadabrador. I'm gonna give you a minute. Hello.